Hello YouTube, today is day one of becoming debt free. Technically I'm 37 days into this series, but I started it on Instagram, but it's day one for YouTube. If you're from Instagram, you already know how I got here, but if you're from YouTube, I'm gonna give you a quick explanation of how I got myself in this mess. So my name is Rayan, or Ray for short. I'm 27 years old and I'm an entrepreneur. I've been trying to do this entrepreneurship since I was 18 or 19. Did it while I was in college, had a bunch of failed businesses, yada yada. In 2022, when I was 24 years old, I started my first successful business. And that business was called Cloud Sharks, these shark-shaped slippers. Yeah, I literally started a Google trend when I started this business, April 6th, 2022. This business allowed me to become a full-time entrepreneur. I have not had a 9-to-5 since I started this business. We hit a little over $5 million in revenue in under 2 years. Everything was just, it was amazing. A year and a half into the business, sales started slowly trending down because I mean, they're shark slippers. It was essentially a trend. I made a few bad financial decisions. I bit off a little bit more than I can chew in terms of borrowing money, and I essentially started running out of money. And so my game plan was to try to sell the business before it fell apart. And so I actually found somebody who legally purchased the business for $500,000. That money was gonna pay off the business debt, and I was gonna have like $150,000, $200,000 left over. Everything was going to be perfect. While the buyer was trying to secure financing for this deal, he was also taking over operations because I was literally running out of money. While the buyer was taking over the business, the shipping warehouse that I partnered with was slowing down on shipping our orders because at the time I owed him like $50,000 or $60,000, no big deal, but he was slowing down on shipping the orders to our customers because the buyer was still struggling to secure financing, and he was getting worried because the more orders he ships, the bigger his balance runs and the more I owe him, right? So he started slowing down on the shipment of our orders, and the buyer of the business got annoyed, and he basically said, hey, can you hurry up with the shipment of our orders? And the shipping warehouse owner, rightfully so, was like, no, can you secure this financing? Can you get this deal, finished with so I could get paid, so that I could pay the shipping warehouse owner? They go back and forth arguing, and long story short, the shipping warehouse owner ended up saying, fuck this, I'm done shipping your orders, pay me what you owe me, and that's it. So the entire business kind of started to bottleneck, and the buyer of the business got mad and he wanted to file a lawsuit for whatever reason against the shipping warehouse owner. Did not make sense why he wanted to sue him, but I still had legal ownership of the business. So he had to ask me, the buyer had to ask me for legal authority to file a lawsuit against the shipping warehouse owner. What do you think I did? Hindsight's always 20/20. I made a bad decision. I was panicking. I was nervous. I wanted this deal to go through, and it was the last 2 years of my life's work all into this business. I put every single dollar back into this business. I barely paid myself. I barely took care of myself. Hindsight's always 20/20, but I was like, whatever. I signed a couple papers. I gave him legal authority to sue the shipping warehouse owner because I thought that would speed up the process and I would get paid. And 2 weeks after that lawsuit was filed was when the buyer disappeared. Fast forward, I didn't know what ended up happening with the lawsuit because I was just like, well, the buyer disappeared. Maybe it'll just disappear into thin air, right? Listen to this. So fast forward, the business ended up falling apart and I was left with no money and 6 figures of business debt. Absolutely terrible situation, and I was like, oh my god, I have to start over. I didn't know what to do, and I saw an opportunity with content creation, specifically in the TikTok shop space. One of my really good friends, Jimmy Farley, was starting a community for it, and it was just becoming a new thing. I already had experience with content creation because I pretty much grew our social media following on my business to like 100K followers in less than 6 months. So I had the content creation experience. So I get into TikTok shop around August of 2024, a couple months after the business just essentially disappears into thin air. And like 3 weeks later, I make $150,000 in profit. God has some really divine timing, but oh my God, it was just such an insane time in my life. I ended up paying most of that business debt off. I bought a car, I bought a motorcycle. I was able to help my family out with some credit card bills and some other stuff. And so you remember that lawsuit, right? That same year in 2024, in December, I think it was December, a sheriff shows up on my front door and I get served a legal notice that I was being countersued. And I was like, oh my God, the fucking lawsuit. Because the buyer disappeared and I still had legal ownership of the business, who do you think got countersued? Me. The shipping warehouse didn't do anything wrong, and so shoulder shrug, I'm like, oh my God. 5 months and a couple court dates later, around May of 2025, so close to a year ago, the court decides that I owe this guy, the shipping warehouse owner, $300,000. What the fuck, right? And so in 2025, I just mentally fall apart because in December of 2024, I got served that legal notice, and then leading up to the actual court judgment where it was decided how much I owed this guy, that buildup just mentally defeated me. I didn't make as much money in 2025 and mentally was just really, really destroyed. In June or July, a month or a month and a half after that court judgment, one of my bank accounts gets wiped out. All right, great. A few weeks later, on the 4th of July, my TikTok shop account gets banned permanently. Come on, man. Come on. So here I am starting over once again. And like I mentioned, the rest of 2025 was just bad. You know, I wasn't in the right place mentally, and it was just a really, really rough year for me. In December of 2025, about 5-6 months ago, I was sick of it. I was tired of being a victim of my past. I was tired of moping around, and I was like, screw this. 2026 is the year I pay off this lawsuit, I become debt free, I change my life. And so in December, in blind delusional faith, I got this 26 tattooed on my hand, which represents 2026, because like I said, I told myself that 2026 is the year my life changes. You see the 3, 4, and 5, those represent 2023, 2024, and 2025. Those were the most turbulent and roughest years of my life. And so now fast forward to 2026, we're 5 months in the year. Mentally, I am in the greatest place right now. I am working harder than I ever could have imagined. In April or last month, I made close to $10,000, which was my best month this year and my best month in the last 12 months. And that's only gonna keep getting higher and higher and higher. And so essentially my goal with this lawsuit is to try to propose a settlement offer of like $100,000 maybe. Once I'm able to settle that lawsuit or pay it off, I can finally start keeping the money I make. I can finally start building my financial foundation. I can start trying to look into buying a house and doing the things I actually wanna do. But in the meantime, I'm just working as hard as I possibly can to get this lawsuit all settled. And I basically decided to start documenting it on Instagram. Like I said, I started a series 37 days ago. I realized, you know what, I want to start doing longer form stuff on YouTube. So I started this series essentially on YouTube as well. Each video I post is just going to be a day in my life or the things I'm doing and, you know, stuff like that. I guess follow along for the journey. If there's one thing that I've learned from having to start over 3 times is that it's not scary when you're broke or you're in debt. Rock bottom is the best place to build a foundation, and you'd be very surprised at how absolutely tenacious and relentless you can be at the bottom. And being at the top isn't scary because you're obviously at the top. It's the middle that is the absolute scariest and the most dangerous place to be. Your bills are on auto pay and you have enough money to get double steak at Chipotle and you feel comfortable, but you can't quite retire your parents yet. You can't take that expensive vacation. You can't buy the car you want. Essentially, you're not living to your fullest potential. You know, our brains are hardwired for comfort, and anything that feels new, any sort of change, we resist it with every inkling of our being. The middle is dangerous because you're in a place where you don't feel like you belong, but things aren't shitty enough for you to do something about it, so you kind of just stay in the middle, and things will keep staying the same. Tomorrow's Monday. Let's have a great week. Go be great. Godspeed. Good morning. I woke up at 4:30. My sleep schedule is in such a fucking spectrum. Some days I wake up at 10 a.m. and some days I wake up at 4:30 a.m. I'm not part of the you have to get up at 5 a.m. to be successful group of people. I get up when my body wants to get up. Some nights I stay up until like 3, 4 a.m. just working or whatever, and I won't wake up till like 10 o'clock in the morning. Some nights, like last night, I went to bed at like 10 p.m. because I was tired and I woke up at 4:30. Actually, my fucking cat woke me up. This guy woke me up because he wouldn't stop these random meows. Cats just be doing weird shit, bro. Best wake up method is the moment you wake up, go and get sunlight, or if you don't have sunlight because you wake up early, use an artificial light with 10,000 lux. If you go outside, get any type of light. It doesn't matter if it's sunlight or the clouds. It just registers to your brain that it's time to wake up. It's just, electrolytes are the most important thing when you wake up. I actually made a post on Reddit about this. Overnight, you lose fluids. Mild dehydration makes you foggy when you wake up. Water is good. Electrolytes are better. It gets you out of the groggy, foggy state faster. Fun fact, that's because the release of neurotransmitters into your nervous system are completely dependent on electrolytes. So that's why when you're dehydrated, you feel foggy and fatigued, because your brain's literally firing slower. Fun fact. Anyways, I've had a really extensive morning routine, and this has been my most simple morning routine. Just sunlight, electrolytes, and it's been the best one for me for sure. I also do no caffeine at least an hour and a half after waking up. This is literally a Reddit post that I made a long time ago. Adenosine is the chemical that makes you sleepy. It gradually builds up during the day and it clears out while you're sleeping. When you wake up, it's not fully cleared. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors, which means if you drink caffeine right when you wake up, you block the residual adenosine that was still in your system. From the moment you wake up, you'd be very surprised at how long you can go without needing caffeine. Yeah, I'm gonna go drink my electrolytes. Pitch black outside, so there's no sunlight. So I'll probably just go on a walk to get my body moving, and it's Monday, so I'm gonna start my day, and that's it. I've been working for the past 4 hours, and I had a random thought. Becoming successful is so not sexy. You literally do the same shit every single day. It's extremely repetitive, and you just do it day after day after day after day after day after day after day. But if you stick with it long enough, it works. Okay, back to work. Okay, but is this not the most adorable thing in the world? These guys are literally my best friends. Hi. Oh, I spilled seasoning on my fucking pants and my cats puked on the floor. Excuse me while I go fuck myself. In the last 7 days, I've made 1,800 bucks with TikTok Shop, about 1,700 bucks with some UGC deals. So 3,500 bucks in the last week or so, not fucking bad. I woke up at like 5 a.m., worked all day, and now I'm gonna go fuck right off to the gym. The money's already there. Time just hasn't caught up yet.